Key point 1. Use self-help techniques when desperation hits. We have all experienced periods of crisis and uncertainty at one point or another in our lives. The most common reaction of the human psyche to difficulties is to give up, isolate oneself, and fall into apathy. If something doesn't work out for a long time, we begin to convince ourselves that we don't need it, that it's impossible, and that we don't deserve it. We start to believe in someone else's words when they turn us down. We adopt all these negative beliefs, thereby denying ourselves growth and hindering all our possibilities. During such periods, it seems we cannot cope with everything piled up, falsely assuming it's not worth trying. Often, our depression affects our relationships with loved ones. Quarrels, in turn, lead us to an even more profound sense of loneliness and rejection. Anxiety grows like a snowball, and we think nothing will ever be all right. We need to learn how to help ourselves in such trying times. To do this, we must make our own list of auxiliary mechanisms. It can include hobbies, socializing with friends, workouts, creative activities, or volunteering, spending time with nature, or anything else that comforts us. Keep in mind, self-help methods that are effective for us are like a magic box that we can open when we're drowning in despair. Step by step, tool by tool, we will remember that we are strong, intelligent, kind, and beautiful. Through small and straightforward actions, we will remind ourselves that the world is excellent and full of opportunities for us to take. Stay tuned if you want to fill your magic box with the self-help methods that Michelle Obama learned from her extraordinary life experience and discover how to apply them to your own life. Key point 2. Use your sphere of influence to regain your sense of control. During the Second World War, Albert Camus wrote that before giving into despair, we should check whether we have done everything within our power. The writer insisted that each of us has a sphere of influence, even if it is tiny, taking care of our family or practicing our craft despite all the obstacles. Don't forget that when everything around us seems to be collapsing and we feel powerless, we need to focus on what we can do now. Today, we are accustomed to thinking big, covering global events in our mind's eye, and worrying about the future. This habit plunges us into a feeling of frightening uncertainty and meaninglessness. The best way to help ourselves is to shift our focus to what is within our control. When the pandemic began in 2020, we all felt that external circumstances severely limited our lives, deprived us of choice, and broke our plans. A global virus was much more than anything we could influence. Many turned to helping others to regain a sense of control over their lives. Michelle Obama used 2 ways to comfort herself. She started knitting and reading fairy tales to children on a TV show. These simple actions gave her a sense of responsibility, strength, and significance. When we knit, our hands are busy. Regardless of what is happening around us, they needlessly continue to do their job. They repeat simple movements, which we know will lead us to visible results. Knitting is a tool that gives us a sense of predictability and reasonable expectations. Even when we cannot control everything in our lives, we can still control the knitting needles and yarn. Other types of crafts and hobbies can have a similar effect. The key is to find one that works best for us individually. The second method of self-soothing used by the former First Lady was to help others as much as possible. During the quarantine, many children found themselves bored and stuck at home, as adults often didn't have enough time and energy to keep kids busy with helpful things all day long. As a mom, Michelle understands how difficult and stressful it can be. Therefore, she used her sphere of influence. She communicated with children all over the country by reading them fairy tales. When we help others, we show empathy, which makes us feel better about ourselves. Nothing nourishes the human soul quite like kindness and gratitude. Key point 3. You have the right to be tired and get rest. From childhood, educators teach us how important it is to be kind to others, to appreciate and notice the efforts and hard work of our loved ones, to thank them and to offer them help. However, only a few of us realize the need to be kind, considerate, and grateful to ourselves. Worse, most people confuse such manifestations with selfishness and narcissism. It seems that complaining is unfair because there are always people who are worse off, and we avoid admitting that we're tired, thinking there are those who work harder than us. We often end an attempt at self-pity with a joke, a chuckle, and a remark that, in general, everything is not so stressful. The feeling that we have no right to be tired leads to guilt and shame. These emotions are destructive, and we must dispose of them as soon as possible. Keep in mind to never compare yourself with others, as it devalues your experiences. How heavy they seem to you is their only measure. In adult life, we must learn to treat ourselves as close friends or loved ones, with understanding and kindness. Often this is just a matter of allowing ourselves to take a break and relax. Each of us has days when taking a shower seems too difficult. We must give ourselves the help and support we need at times like these. Don't berate yourself for being weak. Instead, give yourself a day off. Spend it in bed, get enough sleep, cry, watch a movie or read a poetry book, and eat your favorite food. Whatever is depressing you, allow yourself to experience those feelings. No matter how small your loss may seem, allow yourself to mourn it to avoid carrying a burden. Eventually, the negative feelings will pass and you will feel better. You'll get out of bed and bounce back into life. We are all human, and even the strongest are entitled to empathy, moments of weakness, and rest. Did you know, in psychology, there's a concept of work of grief. It's when the healing process automatically starts as soon as we stop avoiding negative feelings and acknowledge their presence. The longer we ignore and discount our experiences, the more harm they do to us. Key point 4. Fear is an opportunity, not a limit. Being aware of your negative feelings means controlling them instead of letting them rule your life. It is impossible to avoid negative emotions, but you can use them as fuel for self-growth. Let's look at this idea in more detail using the example of fear. Everyone is afraid of something, and this is absolutely normal because fear is the primary mechanism of a healthy psyche. Fear and anxiety warn us of potential danger and keep us from taking unnecessary risks. However, the thing is that there's not always a real danger behind anxiety. Often, there's something else. For example, fear of the new and unknown, uncertainty, rejection, or shame. Because of such unfounded fears, we do not apply to the university of our dreams or do not take the first step toward getting to know the person we like. In such cases, fear keeps us from getting what we want. It acts as a brake, forcing us to stay in our comfort zone, even if we don't feel comfortable there. And that means we have to get the better of it. Remember that learning to be in a comfortable relationship with fear means recognizing and realizing it by doing what we need to do despite it. First of all, it is necessary to comprehend all the risks. Ask yourself, is this really dangerous? What will I lose if I don't try? Can I handle it? Psychologists also recommend this trick. Imagine the most catastrophic scenario for the development of events and think through how you can solve it step by step. In the worst case, even if everything doesn't go as you would like, you'll still get invaluable experience. You'll realize your strength, deepen your knowledge and skills, and respect yourself for your attempt. Most likely, you will be grateful to yourself. Remember all the best things that have ever happened to you. At first, they all seem stressful, complicated, and intimidating. But just like that, we grow by making an effort and overcoming fear. As they say, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Go forth with a spoonful of fear and return with a wagonful of competence. Michelle Obama. Key point 5. Don't let someone else's limiting beliefs become yours. We often feel that we are somehow worse than others because we're different from them. However, that difference is our strength, not our weakness. For many people, it takes decades to realize this truth. They're ashamed and therefore hide their most unique features. People wear masks because they fear not being accepted by society. It negatively affects all areas of life, mainly happiness and satisfaction. It is challenging to open up to others, trust, and build close relationships until we accept ourselves. That's why we feel intensely lonely. Absolute acceptance of oneself begins with the realization of one's total value. First, you must forgive yourself for the things that were not under your control. If something terrible happened to you in the past, it is not your fault. If you or your family have faced difficulties, illnesses, or poverty, it doesn't make you any worse. Unfortunately, sometimes we unconsciously punish ourselves for something we're not guilty of. We keep telling ourselves that we don't deserve good things, friends, love, and careers. We must fundamentally change these thoughts because the most critical actions in life begin with believing in yourself and your worth. It is essential to respect your history and your path. Yes, it may have been complex in a way that most people around you wouldn't understand. But along your route, you've acquired skills that made you more robust, flexible, and resilient. You may regret that it took so much effort to achieve things given to others almost for nothing, but it would be best if you appreciated your steadfastness and diligence. What costs you a lot of strength has also become your advantage. When you understand and thank yourself for everything you've done, you finally look at your weaknesses as your weapons. Don't forget that the hardest thing is to remember your value when others neglect it, but it's in your hands. Accepting someone else's limiting beliefs is a choice. Someone will surely try to tell you that you do not deserve any benefits and that you got them by accident, not by right. Try your best not to listen to them and remember your truth. You are great and you deserve everything you've achieved. My life became a kind of reply. Your limits aren't mine. Michelle Obama. Key point 6. Pump up your friendship skills to always have loved ones on your side. In tough times, we gravitate toward solitude. We want to distance ourselves from the whole world because we are sure that no one will understand our struggle. However, interaction with a friend can be the best medicine in such moments. The frankness inherent in friendship allows us to realize that we're not alone in our turmoil, sadness, and insecurity. When we share our feelings, we understand that everyone goes through battles invisible to others. In turn, this makes us feel less alone. Unfortunately, many people lose the skill of making friends as soon as they are no longer children. It's much more challenging to be gullible, naive, and honest in adult life. Showing the real you without masks is a prerequisite for friendship. But when we open up to a stranger, we always risk being rejected or misunderstood. We show ourselves without protective armor, and this makes us vulnerable. Of course, we have no guarantees that everything will turn out well and that the other person will meet us halfway. Therefore, openness always involves overcoming some fear and uncertainty. Only brave and strong-willed people are capable of such an act, and only they can receive in return something priceless, adorning life and enriching the soul: friendship. Remember that any close relationship requires work. It's not something that is given to us just like that. We need to invest enough time and attention in maintaining quality communication. It also requires our mental strength and constant self-development. First of all, we must improve our tolerance and acceptance. Relationship problems begin when we get carried away with the idea of remaking the other person. Let your loved ones be themselves, not limiting them, but appreciating their unique features and differences. No matter how significant friendship is, shifting responsibility for your happiness to another person and expecting them to cover all your needs is a losing strategy. Being a good friend means sincerely thanking your loved ones for what they bring to your life and not demanding what they cannot give you. Don't expect perfection from yourself or others. We must learn to respect the uniqueness of our friends and treat it carefully, with love. Once we perfect our friendship skills, our close relationship will become a safe space that provides a sense of home and belonging and helps us trust the world. Conclusion. Life is not perfect. It contains difficult periods, and it is impossible to avoid them. All we can do is try our best to go through them with minimal damage and discover valuable lessons along the way. We must remember that any discomfort is a tool for our growth. All the difficulties we overcome, fighting our fear and insecurity, strengthen us and give us invaluable experience. We must respect our path and not be ashamed of the peculiarities and differences acquired from it. The key to contentment in life lies in accepting yourself and those around you for who you are. You are good enough in your uniqueness and worthy of all the good things in the world, even if someone will try to convince you otherwise. When you feel like too much has been thrown at you and you can no longer control everything, shift your focus to something small you can handle and concentrate on. Treat yourself with care and patience during such periods as you would your loved one. Try to find the strength to turn to your friends for support and share your struggles with them. It will help you to cheer up and realize that you are not alone. Try this. Make your list of self-help methods in times of crisis. It can be a hobby, creative activity, sports, a conversation with a friend, or prolonged sleep. Introduce into your life the habit of meditating for 10 minutes twice daily. It'll allow you to be more aware of your emotions and control them better, making it easier to endure stress. Start needlework or other similar craft. It will give you a sense of control and predictability when everything around you is unstable.